mention.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I am so excited to have Tara here today. And just as I hit record, she was like, I just want to mention, do you want to mention it now?
That we do not have a super tight time constraint, that I have.
Oh, good. Okay.
Time if
Okay,
you need it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's even better, right?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because we were just talking about time, and then I was like, oh wait, I want to hit record because this is actually so good. And then you brought up time again, so that's a perfect segue. You're already like the best at this interview. So no, but so if you wouldn't mind going back to what you just said to me about like the time, what is it? The time that you have is the time that it takes.
Yeah. I think we can say it like that. There's probably there's a quotable, like somebody said it in a different way, but that's the gist of it. So if you are like, oh, I really need to clean my house, and you have 3 hours, well, it's going to take you 3 hours, right? You're going to do all the things, and you're going to fill up that time. If you have a short amount of time, 30, 45 minutes, you're going to probably get most of that done, but
right. At least like the things that matter the most, you'll get done.
That's right.
Well, and that's always, it's that saying too, of like, if you want something done, ask the busiest person you know.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, always. Like, I'm just like, where's the single mom? Like, where's the, like, where's the single working mom? Like, she's the one that's going to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reliably and fast.
Yeah. In that rhythm of,
Like, I think about like, there's a friend that Derek has, and he like doesn't have a job, and I'm not really sure like what, and he was saying something like, oh, maybe I'll ask him. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, no, like that's not the person. Like, you ask the person that has 3 jobs, like they're the person, because also if they can't, they're going to tell you no, and they're going to tell you who to go to. The other thing,
Yeah. He was counterintuitive, but
well, and it's funny because I have people, and just a little context, Tara and I met we met a long time ago and then re-met.
Yeah. So we met at Wanderlust Yoga Studio. Yes. Like after it opened. So it would have been like
2012.
Yeah. I think early 2012. I had just moved to Austin. I feel like
me too.
A lot of people were moving. I met a lot of friends like during that time.
Totally.
Because everybody was just like, hi, like, want to be friends? Like it was definitely had that vibe. And then, so we were connected on social media, and then I saw you travel or meet Derek, travel, whatever order. All of that happened. And then I reached out to you in 2020. I think.
Yeah. Because you got my Artist Way program after COVID, because I did a COVID group and then the next one, right? Because it was August.
It was like fall. Yeah. Fall of 2020. And so, something just told me to reach out to you. And I think we had like a phone call, and then you text me about the program, and like, I probably wouldn't have signed up if you wouldn't have.
Well, so that's a great question, because that was actually my first question is like, what made you like sign up? Did I text you out of the blue and be like, this is your invitation? I
was like in the grocery store parking lot, which is weird. Like, I remember where I was when you sent me that text.
I do the same thing. I totally know. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what's this? And it was like, I should do this. And
I love that you didn't ever think it.
That was really a win for me.
Well, I just want to acknowledge you, because so frequently we'll have that pull, right? Yeah. And then you'll look at your calendar and you'll see that time is limited or money is limited, and then you won't. And I say you, like, we all do that, right?
Yep.
Like, I just did it. I shot, we were just talking about the video that I shot about my dad, and did not expect myself to like share about him having Alzheimer's, much less like break down crying. But I just had this pull of like, I really like, Jack doesn't know who he is, and he's 3.5. Like, that doesn't work for me. And then I went to like look at flights, and they were like super affordable, and it was Father's Day. And Derek was like, well, it's my Father's Day too. And I was like, but could it be both of your Father's Days? Like, can we like,
every day is Father's Day at your house.
I'm like, please, like, your life is so great. And so then I didn't book it. And then the next day I was like, what am I waiting for exactly? Like, for him to be better, because that's not going to happen, for it to get worse and then I'm going to his funeral. Like, you know, and I think that we have this concept of like, oh, I'll just do it later.
Yeah.
And really, I think that what I provide in coaching and just in any, whether it's a free video that people are watching or whatever, is that like, it is counterintuitive that if you make the deposit in yourself early in the day in that journaling or in an artist state, that the time freedom that you actually get back throughout your day, like is so much more expansive than you can even imagine. Yeah. That's actually that's my hope. I don't know if that was your experience.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say, like, working with you, that you talk about the little voice and like, what is that initial reaction? And so with the retreat, as soon as I don't know if I read the email or saw the video that you recorded about it, whatever it was, that first impression, there was a notable, like, hell yes. Like, yeah, this sounds like I want to be there. Then I had to figure out all the things, but I knew enough to hang on to that initial feeling. And I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about that.
I have goosebumps right now too. Yeah. I love it.
And that's what I think journaling or just staying connected helps you do, is I still muck it up, right? Like, sure.
I mean, we're human. Like, that would be so boring if we didn't.
I'm still like, okay, like I have 3 kids, like I have a husband that travels, I work. It's like, I have a lot of legitimate excuses to not spend time on myself or do these things. But I know enough to trust what was that initial, and then I can cut through it all a little bit faster.
I love it. Because even when I journaled that I wanted to do the retreat, I think I saw my friend posted about the house. Yeah. And then the next morning I journaled and was like, I just want to have a retreat. And it wasn't that I wanted to have a retreat. I wanted to have a retreat there. And it's funny because it's actually my friend's home that she originally remodeled, and like all of these, you know, crosses with this house. And then every time I would go to talk myself out of it, I'm like, I don't have any business running a retreat. I've never done that before. Somebody would message me. Like the universe would just like click in, or like every time, like, so I have a coaching program that starts next week. Every time I'm like, you know, nobody really cares. I don't need to do this. It's summertime. This isn't necessary. Somebody will message me and register. And I'm like, okay, we'll keep going. Yeah. So I love that you said that, because it is that little voice. And like, if we can just hook into it and then keep paying attention to those signs along the way. Yeah. Right. Because the bigger voice, the overwhelming, the ego, all the things of like, you can't do that. Your husband's gone all the time and this and that. Like, you'd never do anything except for like all the things that have to get done. And then you'd be left like pissed off and resentful at best. Most likely.
I think you said in one of your videos something about, then I'm just going to be pissed off and resentful, and like nobody wants to live with me. Like, that's no fun. So I'm going to get my journaling done. I'm going to go on that retreat. I'm going to meditate.
I love that. Okay. So that's a little bit about why you registered. And I'd love to know like what you got out of the class that I taught.
Yeah. So I have this, like, I guess it's sort of a limiting belief, but when I try to test it, I'm like looking for those lightning bolt moments. I'm looking for those big changes in life.
Oh yeah.
Right. Where it's just gonna like strike down on me, like big change. And then when I
mean, unfortunately, that happens for people, and it's not usually good. So
right, yeah, it's like what I'm saying.
Like cancer, like that's what. When you said that, I was like, oh God, no, you don't.
No, but so as far as what I got out of it, what I'm learning and keep having to learn is all these like little moments and all these little seeds are what like leads to the big impactful things. And so that was the case of why I met you. It was not like, oh, here's Anna and she is your best friend, coach, confidant. Like it was just a chance meeting. And it wasn't until, what are we saying, 8 years later? That we actually had like prolonged interaction. Same thing happened with my husband. we met 6 months before we actually were in
Yeah.
the same place and like went on it,
100%.
right? The
Mhm.
introduction,
Yeah.
just little seeds. And it's like,
Mhm.
so with the coaching program, lightning didn't strike like the day it was done, right? Like
Right.
it wasn't like, oh, I know now I'm going to,
If
get a
only.
new job, I'm going to move, I'm going to do all these things. But when I look back on it, so we finished around Thanksgiving. By January, I had my first client that I'm still working with right now. I
What?
do recruiting,
Yeah.
and I had started journaling about what are the things that I want in a client or in my job and in my
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
And flexibility, autonomy, and earning potential, or in earning income, were the three things. And this perfect client shows up. And like,
Yeah.
I thought of all the reasons why not to send the email to my network. And there
Mhm.
was one person that introduced me to one person
Mhm.
and that gave me this perfect client. Yeah. Wild. And
And
then,
that's now what, 3 years later, 2 years later?
yeah, 2 years later,
Mhm.
2 years
Mhm.
later.
Mhm.
And
And I just want to point out that's not an accident.
yeah,
That that's exactly why the journaling and what I teach matters, is because
Mhm.
it's in those moments of clarity, first thing in the morning when your mind hasn't been gobbled up by the day, that you get that little voice and you are clear about what you want to create with the universe together.
yeah,
Right? Because otherwise it's all just, it doesn't it feel like it's just happening to you
yeah.
rather than you like creating it together?
Or I tend to do what I feel like I'm supposed to do,
Oh, preach.
or what I feel like I should, like the
Should, fucking should. Yeah, I hate that word. Yeah.
And I really do. I've woken up, and I'm like, I had this dream, like this dream client. It is exactly what I needed right now for this time in my life. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't deserve this, or like, this is too good to be true, or, you do all
Yeah.
those things. But I know that it was intentionally like, that's what I put out there, and I
Mhm.
got it back.
Mhm. Mhm. I love that. And I love what you said about like it is like the little things, right? It's so nuanced, it's so subtle. Like I said to my mom the other day, I was like, I really like help people put a microphone on their little voice. And she was like, no. And I was like, what? What did I say wrong? And she was like, oh no, I don't want a microphone on it. I love how sweet and quiet and like, how faint it sometimes is. And I was like, okay, I get that. But like she heard microphone and was like, no. And I was like, no, I just like want it to be acknowledged and like, and nurtured, really like watered and nurtured. Think about people talking to their plants. And I look at these two plants that are like kind of dying in my office right now. And I was like,
Yeah.
you could probably use some water and a little wipe down and like some sweet words, right?
Love. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I heard not long ago by like one of my coaches and favorite podcasters, which you will absolutely love her if you don't listen to her, Kathy Heller. I know I've talked to her about her before on videos, but she talks about like, and especially like because we're both mothers, that like you care so much about your kids because of the investment that you make in them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like what greater investment are we making than like these children that we're like developing and growing and like helping nurture? And like, shouldn't we do the same for ourselves?
Oh gosh. Yeah. 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 And speaking of kids, another seed that was somehow planted in the clarity is that I got pregnant with my third, which was totally unexpected. And that happened a few months after I finished the coaching program too. And then, but all of these things like really helped me set up for like, how can I actually have the bandwidth to work and take care of all these children and do all the things. So I didn't necessarily know like and have a clear vision for why I was joining the coaching program, but these little seeds.
So I'm curious about, because I've asked everybody this, and I'm curious what your experience of like working in a group setting was like, because it's different. Because, you know, I can offer so much, but like, I don't even know where the group is going to take me. And I know you shared that you listened to the live coaching call that I did, you know, last week, where like, you know, y'all show up and I just have to hold space, you know, and I don't really know what's going to hit me. So I'm curious, like what that was like as a participant.
Yeah. So I have done some one-on-one coaching, like I did about a year or so.
Yeah.
And I like group coaching. I didn't know I would like it better, but there's the part of you get tired of hearing yourself talk.
That's
right.
Exactly
You're just
why
like,
I don't like one-on-one coaching.
And a lot of my work, I do a lot of talking, and I'm just a talkative person. And so like, ask me my opinion on something or ask me for my advice. I'm just gonna, and so, and I get off a call sometimes and I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear myself anymore.
Yeah.
So that's sort of selfish and like a little funny, but I think just that shared experience, seeing that other people go through similar things. And then I think you might have mentioned this in like setting the foundation for coaching calls, but what you really want to get to is a place where your client, someone you've worked with, like hears your voice in their day-to-day, right? Like like I have that with yoga teachers too, where I haven't taken their class in 10 years, but like something that they said and would repeat sticks with me. And so giving the individual, like the person, the tools. And so I find with group coaching, like someone will be talking about their experience and I'm coaching them in my head. And that is helping build that muscle to where
I love that. I
can
haven't
do that
heard
for
that.
myself.
Yeah. It's having you practice the muscle so that when you're out on your own, it's there too.
Yeah. Cause you can see it. It's so, I think it first comes with being able to see it in other people.
Sure.
Before you can really get strong at turning it on yourself.
Yeah.
Saying those questions, like, what if I'm wrong? Or
right,
exploring things for coaching yourself. Cause that's where you want people to get, right?
You know, it's so interesting when you say that. There was a yoga teacher in New York. This was when I first really, really got into yoga. And there was a very like, what's the word? Not inflammatory, but like he pissed a lot of people off, right? Like he was very clear in his opinions and, you know, and I loved him and I didn't even hear him that way. But then I heard people talking, I was like, oh yeah, I could kind of see that you would be offended or whatever. And he was very outspoken against the medical field. And then like, it was on the Upper East Side with a bunch of doctors. So like that obviously pissed people off. But I remember I was in a pose, just like a fold over, you know, pose, sitting down, and he was getting me deeper into the pose. And it was like one of those things where you're just like, my body can't go there. And it's the fight between like, what's true, your mind or your body, like which one's going to win here. And I remember him practically laying on top of me and whispering in my ear, and it sounds a little sexual, but it absolutely was not. But he whispered this thing, and it's the thing that gets me through every moment of every day. And he said, like, I'm with you. And it may sound really weird, but like, that was like the seed that needed to be planted. And that's what I journal to every single morning, is that like, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
That there's like God, universe, angels, like all these things around me cheering me on, being with me, that like, even though it can feel alone and lonely, it's not the truth.
Yeah.
The truth is that there's so much beyond all of us in this physical realm that's like opening floodgates, opening, you know, ideas and possibilities. And like that, him saying that, I just remember weeping. Like I was just a puddle of tears on the ground. Like, you know, because it was finally like the freedom I needed to feel like there was something beyond me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, people find that in religion and, you know, all different kinds of places. And that's what I think is so great about all of the things out there, all of the teachers that'll cross our paths. So I love that. I mean, because I don't think of myself that way. And I pretend like, I do these videos pretending like no one will ever listen. Because it's only like, that's the way that like works for me to do it and not be afraid.
Yeah. But even though I had done like yoga and coaching and sort of been in like playing in the personal development, spiritual development, like, all of these things that intersect, I think you are so approachable and authentic and encouraging and supportive. Like if someone is like wanting to take the leap and do this for the first time and their little voice is saying like, you should try this, like you should do this, they're not going to find a better person to guide through it, because you practice what you preach and you tell all of these stories, not that you preach, but you tell, it's just so authentic as far as you're living it, you're applying these practices in your life. And so that's helpful for someone like me that's sort of been on this path, but then also for someone who's just starting out.
Thank you. I really love that. And I want to end with something, because, and we haven't talked about it in a while, but it's come up because I've had somebody else say this. So I want to offer this as some coaching too, because I know that we've both kind of had the feeling of like, why am I the one?
Okay. So we had, I just want to say we did a one-on-one coaching call, like maybe a month or two after, I don't know the exact timing, but we did a one-on-one, and I'm the one and no one's coming are the two things that I hear you say.
I just had like a feeling that you needed this again.
Every day. Okay. So tell me about, I'm the one.
So here's the thing. So like somebody just messaged me, and I'll probably say this in a few other videos as well, but like, why am I the one? And I think it's funny because we walk around pretending like we don't want to be the one. And then you won't let anybody help you. And then if they do, you don't like how they did it.
Yeah.
Or you criticize them or critique them or give them feedback at best. Like that's a good scenario. Of like how they could have done it better or different, or you wanted it this way. And I mostly like feel like I'm talking to Derek right now. Like, I'm so sorry. I feel like you need to, this is my apology message. But we do that, right? So I think that it's hilarious that we pretend like we don't want to be the one, and yet we also do. It's incredibly empowering to like, so, I mean, you work for yourself, right? Do you ever look around and be like, I fucking made all of this. I bought this house. I made these children. Like I'm rocking these bangs. Like, I'm like, no, I mean, but really, like, I mean, I was cuddling Dean this morning at 6:15 because he likes to get up then. But like, if it's me, I can give him a bottle and get him back down. And I cuddle with him and I pet his, and he's got like blonde curly hair that is just like, I could just eat him. Like he's just so good. And I just had this thought of like, the most important thing of my day is done now. None of the rest of it matters. Like I'm already done. The best is like the rest, I just don't care about the rest. And I fucking made this. Like I made him. Yeah. And so this idea of like us not wanting to be the one is actually a lie.
Yeah.
And that's the coaching. And getting in that thing is just like the trap of martyrdom and the whole trap of like unhappiness and like alone and not being with anybody. And like, you're this island that has to do it all. And they're slamming dishes in the kitchen. And I mean, at least that's my favorite thing to do. Or is it what is yours?
Ooh, I don't think I slam dishes. I definitely do something. I probably huff around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Audible sighs are a favorite. Eye rolls that feel like your eyes will like tear, like the retina's gonna tear. I'll do something and Derek was like, I could feel that eye roll from the other room, Anna.
Deep breath. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So I think that that's the thing is like, we walk around like we don't want to be the one covering up that like, it's incredibly joyful to look and see what we've created.
Mm-hmm.
And you also didn't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So then to give credit where credit's due with like a relationship with the universe, like with our spiritual self, a relationship with like the people that support us, the village that like makes this all happen.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that that's really the coaching is that like you're, and it's the fight against being the one that is what actually feels like shit.
Yeah.
It's just your resistance to it.
There's
actually no problem because we're all the one because it's just your life. It's not your husband's, it's not your kids. Like at the end of the day, like it's you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I needed to hear that today. Again.
I mean, every day I'll be watching this video again. No, I mean, that's why you journal every day, right? Because I think like, you know, you know, if you had exactly what you wanted tomorrow, like the thing that you're striving for, let's say just as an example, like it's $1 million. And I was like, okay, Tara, there's $1 million in your bank account tomorrow. That actually wouldn't bring you the joy that you're striving for. Because it's the act of creating it, of not earning it. I'm careful to say that word, but like, it's the act of manifesting it, of looking at like that $1 million were all those people I helped along the way.
Yeah.
Was that company having like the culture that they've been desiring. Right. And it's that we think is actually the money, but it's not. It's not even the trip. It's when you registered for the retreat, it's all of this time up until the retreat. The retreat's going to be great. But what has been 2 months, 3 months since you registered?
Yeah. 2 months or so. Yeah.
It's when you book the flight. Mm-hmm. That's when the trip starts.
Yeah.
Because you're excited. It's all the excitement for the hours and months leading up to it. That's the best part.
Yeah. Those little boosts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thank you for being here today.
I can't wait to see you soon.
I know, I'm so excited. And if you're watching this video, just a reminder that the Reconnect starts next Tuesday, June 6th. So for my procrastinators out there, there's plenty of time to register. You can do that on annakmorris.com. Bye. I'll see you next week, Tara.
Bye.
Stop recording.